Hi, everybody, and welcome to Love Speaks Love. I'm Denise, your host, and my lovely guest again this week, not this week, today is Eve. And there we go. Eve Alta, welcome back.
Thank you. So good to be back.
So we've spoken quite a lot, haven't we, in the last few weeks? And we were just saying, I've got no idea which conversation is which. I've got no idea what we shared on Love Speaks Love. And we actually spoke we went over time on Love Speaks Love, and then we just carried on talking for another hour and a half.
No, we couldn't stop. The flow was just going like a faucet, strong, and yeah, no one wanted to turn it off.
And time just goes by so quickly when we speak as well.
And we talk about all kinds of topics, don't we?
Mm.
Sort of bounce around.
Yeah, so it's tricky to remember what we've already shared live. We just went through it. We've got some idea, but if we repeat it, apologies for that. Okay, we are live. So the chat sound is okay. Yes. And I'm going to share it to a few places. My glasses on because my eyes are quite blurry. I'm going to share it there and there. And I think that would do. Yes. Okay. Thank you everyone who's watching, and thank you for everyone who watches on the replay as well or on YouTube. And just before we get, oh, the sun's come out, how lovely. It's been quite cloudy the last few days. I'm like, sunshine, wow. So I will just do a little, oh, there's a kestrel.
Oh, nice. That's a good sign. Do they call them Merlin hawks in England? Or do they call it, because I knew of kestrels, Merlin hawks are really similar. They're
Right.
just, might be a tiny bit bigger, but I think they're the smallest hawks, right?
Kestrels are quite small, like they're about the size of a pigeon. Yeah.
Yeah, they're super loud though for a small hawk.
Yeah, I love the sound they make. The buzzards are really loud as well around here. Like I normally see
Really?
buzzards when I go out, or at least hear them.
Wow, because I get turkey vultures here. They could be a little different.
Ah.
Oh. Because they're usually flying so high, I don't recall what they sound like, honestly. Most of the time when I see them, yeah. That's interesting. That I should look that one up. I like bird sounds.
Mm.
Knowing it so that when I go out and I hear it, I can recognize what I'm hearing, because half the time you don't see them.
That was something really joyful for me in Australia because there's so many different sounds. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
what's that?
yeah, probably a cacophony.
Mm-hmm. And
Amazing.
not so many Tweety birds like we get here. Like, there's many kind of Tweety, smaller birds here, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of quite harsh, harsh bird sounds in Australia.
I think of that kookaburra sound. That you can't not notice that one.
Oh, I love the kookaburra. Kookaburras always do their sound. They're also known as the timekeepers. That's one of their oh, my brain is not quite functioning. It's one of their attributes is because they always do their sound at sunrise and sunset. Like they do it at other times as well, but always like it heralds in the new day.
Right. Kind of like a rooster then, but with the more of a laughter rather than that's that's awesome. I love that.
Exactly. All right, before we get lost in our conversation, which is very easy for me to do with you, Eve, we're just going to do our little heart-to-heart connect. And breathe in some love. Bring our awareness to our heart space. Breathing love into every cell of your body. And breathing that love deep into your DNA, going all the way to the subatomic particles. And breathing out, if you wish to breathe out anything of the day so far or the day ahead, anything that is preventing you from being in this now moment. And filling all your organs with love. And connecting my heart to yours, Eve, and to everybody watching, live or on the replay or on YouTube. And connecting our hearts to the heart of Gaia. And I'm feeling to just visualize roots growing down from the coccyx, your tailbone, from the soles of your feet, and also from your hands. And feeling our energy going deep down into the earth, through all of the layers, all the way to the center of the earth, to Earth's crystalline diamond heart. And emanating out from her diamond heart is a crystalline grid of energy. And you can ask any time for any crystal energies that would be helpful for you just now to come up through those roots. Connecting in with the New Earth templates and feeling Gaia's loving, supporting energy moving into your heart and every cell of your body. And we can also ask Gaia for any nutrients that would be of use to us just now. Any electrolytes, because she holds the energy of everything on the planet. And connecting our hearts to the heart of the sun. And feeling that solar energy coming into your body in your solar plexus, which to me is like a solar battery. And feeling that solar energy in every cell, in all of your organs. And connecting our hearts to the heart of Source Creator. The great cosmic heart.
Oh my gosh, that was like a cacophony. I don't know what I was picking up on.
What was
but
that?
And a bunch of your guides coming in or something.
Oh.
I got a bunch of things come in when you were doing that. It was very interesting. Strong magenta light, ray, or whatever you want to call it. It was like a dragon.
Oh.
I know. That's what surprised me. And it was sort of shook its head like, yeah, I'm here. And I feel a strong oof in my head. It was pretty strong.
Wow.
And then, but I saw a fox pop in, and then red fox, and then maybe some kind of marsupial. I don't know. It was like a possum. But you don't have that over there. But it might have been from your Australia days, some kind of a maybe the kangaroo energy. I don't know. But
I resonated a lot with wallaby energy.
well, maybe that's what came in because it was a little face that looked like possum-like, but I don't know.
They do have possums in Australia.
Do they? So maybe it was possum. Not sure.
And they have birdie.
Yeah. Let me. Oh, I should have refilled my water. I will later.
You can if you want.
Let me rather do that because I'm almost out.
Mmm, fruity tea, delicious. Thank you to everyone joining us. Hi, Ernie. Hi, Terry. Hi, Christina. Hi, Anne. Hi, Marita.
Hi, Marita. I don't have my phone on, so I don't know who's there. I don't want to look. I think it.
And Dolores.
Me.
Wallabies were really special to me in Australia. I didn't see many kangaroos. There are kangaroos, not so many in the area that I was living, but loads and loads of wallabies.
They're so cute. They're the little guys, right? They're about only this big or something.
No, those are patamelons.
Oh,
Ones, but they look like wallabies, but just really tiny.
Yeah.
Wallabies are about 3 feet, 3 feet tall, so about to.
Oh, so they're the medium ones.
Yeah, maybe they're about 5 foot, but they're not big. They're not like, how kangaroos have got that really angular jaw as well.
Masculine.
Very, very cute.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And Lewis Walker, who's a dear friend of mine, and he is an Aboriginal guy, and he lives off the land. So, did I not tell this story last time? Must have been someone else.
You told us about the wallaby, that if they eat a wallaby, right, then if it has a baby in the pouch, right, that they're committed to look after the baby. So they wear the pouch or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recall you telling that one, but you never mentioned his name, and I was meaning to ask you who, because you said a friend or something, and I was like, and he, or somebody who had written books about animal stuff.
Oh, that was someone different. That was
That was someone different.
Scott Alexander King.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a shopping barn for a while. And it was his first book that really helped me with all the symbology. That's the word I was looking for before, the symbology of animals. So wallaby is about, and it seems right to tell you this as well, seeing as you maybe saw one. Wallaby is about taking huge leaps forward because they can only jump forward because the base of their body is quite big, and with the tail as well, they can't actually jump backwards. They have to if they want to go back, they have to kind of
spin around.
Yeah, take a leap in all directions.
That's interesting. That's a good energy then.
Mm.
I like that because I feel like we were just talking how these last few weeks have been really intense, and I think we have taken some huge leaps forward. Honestly,
yeah, I agree.
The clarity I've received is big, and just that sense of ease too. That I feel like I'm getting different upgrades to stuff that I already knew how to do, but it's like more refined. Yeah, all the information coming in seems to be more refined. I think that's
clearer.
Yeah. Like we had a broader idea of something, of a structure, and all these little tiny details are filling in the gaps of understanding or something like that. That's what I'm getting.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely resonates. So what about that dragon you saw before?
I know, magenta. It reminded me of that you had a meditation that you sent me, and I traveled, to these beautiful uh, temple that you described after the waterfall. And part of the ceremonial thing that happened inside of that temple of this meditation was that I received a pearl. And it was a pink pearl or a magenta. The dragon was like, I think, originally red, but it turned magenta.
Wow.
And then it grabbed an egg like thing in its mouth, and it broke the egg in its mouth. And I saw the energy swirling around inside uh, like a fire, and it sprayed it out, in front of me. And then it was doing this thing in front of me. And then I saw a pearl in the center being formed as it was swirling. And then the flame like went into my heart, like with the pearl. And that was pretty beautiful, I thought. And so, yeah, pink pearl. And maybe that was the same dragon, I'm thinking, because of because we've developed a little of a connection through these energetic, you know, conversations, as well as meditations, as well as all your codes and light language that I listen to all the time. And it's almost like we have this really strong energetic thing happening. So when you started talking, sometimes when you're just your voice will get something going in me. It's really interesting.
That image of the dragon kind of like blowing that fire energy into your heart, there feels like there's more to unravel in that. It feels like codes as well. It feels like an activation, like a deep
Yes, it
activation.
was like an initiation, activation. Because pearls, for me, like traditionally, the dragon energy in Asia, he carries the pearl of wisdom, right? And you see a lot of depictions of that. The Asian dragon is very, wavy, and often they're carrying that pearl in its mouth. And I had in spring a lot occurrences of clouds and different images coming into my life of dragon with a pearl in its mouth in the clouds. And I
Oh.
have many pictures of that. And I did a post about it, actually. So there's this theme, there's these themes that seem to keep running through my, the journey, my journey, and then they reappear, later down the road after a while again, but in a different, setting or a different context. And yeah, almost like, when I first was seeing it was somehow in the ethers, and then this last time I saw it, I'm actually being, interacting with it. So there's like a different aspect of the story happening, or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel the light language that comes through that's very deep?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel any dragon energy with that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like that is a very elemental. And it's really hard to get that low, but it's like it wants to be felt as a deep, deep, almost. I mean, it's not masculine. It's not masculine or feminine, but I think we have this idea that if it's deeper, it's masculine. But it's almost like, yeah, the resonance is more about a certain kind of power, I think.
Yeah.
The power of the elements, which is really, maybe it's a, yeah, it's a thing, with the dragons.
And more primal, maybe as
Primal.
well. Like it
That's it.
feels quite
That's a better
primal.
word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Primal. I like that. Yeah.
And
That's
for me, when that deeper energy comes in, it feels like that lower end of my body is vibrating with it as well. Like, different notes in your body hit that we speak or sing, different tones you feel in different parts in different parts of your body.
mm-hmm.
and those lower notes feel like they're vibrating, you know, base chakra, legs,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like it's more activating for those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely though, like sometimes you really feel it vibrating your rib cage as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That sometimes I'll be low and I could feel it another, depending on, yeah, the frequency, I think. But it's fun playing with the different tones because um, I'm really experimenting a lot, with what I can do with them and how it makes me feel. But I'm also learning that I have to be really careful with my vocal cords, because you can
Yeah,
really whack them out if you're not careful.
yeah.
So I might have to do something about that, but just I haven't been doing it as often. Um, but I feel like it's like you're working out a little bit, and it just takes time for it to build up strength or something like that. So,
And it's interesting how
but
you go on, sorry.
well, I was just going to say different animals are starting to come in. So I'm starting to get a whole different range of vocal tones that are coming in now. So it's like, I don't know what's going to come in. It's really interesting.
Sometimes when I do like language activations, different animals appear.
Mm.
So when I was in New Zealand, it was mainly around the waters that I would do activations. So there was a particular place in the forest that I would go that had a stream. So I'd be standing either in the stream or on little stepping stones, little pebbles, stones in the stream. And there's a tiny, oh, I've forgotten the name of the bird. They're very small, very fluttery birds, and they would often come right in when I was doing the activations, or I'd spot black buzzards. Dragonfly was very came and hovered over me the other day when I was doing an activation, and it feels like you're bringing in their energy to the activation as well, like in some way in the grid work, their energy is needed somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting in the mix.
Mm.
Um,
That totally resonates. Yeah, because I always have some kind of animal showing up when I'm, off doing grid work.
yeah,
There's something hovering around. Birds come in and just start making lots of noise, or
yeah.
they're mostly birds for me. But lately, more and more insects. Yeah, absolutely. They want to be a part of it. And here, when we do it in the house, the cat, boom, she's right there, right in the middle. I mean, she doesn't miss a beat. When she hears the light language starting, especially Vivian does it a lot more than I do. So, but even lately, since I've been starting it, she will hear it and just when we did that one with Zahara rather, that group Temple of Light,
Yeah.
the cat came right in right when I was finishing doing that. So yeah, she heard it across the room somewhere and she came running in. I thought it was funny.
We used to find, I remember my Reiki master telling a story because we used to do Reiki shares. So, and in the Reiki share, one person would be on the table and everyone else would do Reiki on that one person, only for a few minutes because you don't need long when it's so many people doing it with you. But often you'd find the cat was hiding under the table because you'd have like a sheet over it or something so you couldn't see. And then at the end, the cat would like, whoa. It's like
Yeah, he is.
run from the energies, like, whoa, wow. I don't know where I've been, but that was amazing.
They know, man. They know where to be in the right place at the right time. I swear, they're so clever.
And just to go back to what you were sharing about the attunement, because I did a crystal light cymatics attunement last week, and it was awesome to do it with all of you. And we got the time we got the timing wrong. So I'd said 3 to Eve, meaning 3 p.m. UK time,
Right.
And you took that as being 3 p.m. your time, because that's often the time that me and Zahara do things together. Um, and I'd got your name late, and I'd written everyone else's name on the list. And because yours came in late, I hadn't written you on the list. So I hadn't noticed you weren't there until right at the end. But that meant that even I went through the symbols with you because I wanted to re-record, because I'd missed recording the bit with the spirals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think it was Marianne said, "Are you supposed to be recording?" And I was like, "No," because I'd gone through like a lot of the symbols that I was using. So I thought, well, I'll re-record that, and why don't I do that with you? So we had this whole conversation that kind of evolved from the conversation about the spirals. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that we were meant to do that. Like we recorded that for everyone, but it was a really interesting conversation, and I can't even remember what we said now. But one thing often led to another in the conversation. It was just weaving, really, and yeah, very very organic conversation. But what I was going to say was, when you received your attunement in the bath, you shared, when you listened to people's experiences afterwards, you actually shared a lot of the experiences that they had as well, which I love
Yes.
that in attunements, because I didn't mention a pearl in the attunement, but it came up with more than one person.
Yeah. Yeah. Gayatri brought it up. I don't know if I should say that, but yes, I was like, bam, right off the bat, like, yes, I got a big pearl too. It was one of those sort of happy moments. Like, wow, I love when you just connect. I mean, that's happening so much lately. Is this synchronistic, just communicate, telepathic communication, or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, just weird dumb stuff too, but it's all synchronized. Like I mentioned to someone, I was pouring a glass of water and listening to your interview with the other day. And right when I started pouring, he changes the subject. He goes, and the waters, he just starts talking about waters, and I'm pouring the water. I go, yes, the waters. And then he says it's really, important, how we treat it and speak to it and all that, or something to that effect. And I was just like, I started praying on my water right away. And it was just, I mean, it's just sort of like there's this musical, lyrical kind of energies, through life where everything is just connecting, and I'm just finding it really magical.
Mm.
And then he mentions Deneb, the star that, nobody talks about ever. And just 2 days before, I had photographed 3 stars in the night sky above me, because they've kind of been tracking me, or I've been tracking them this whole summer. And one was our tourist uh, that keeps talking to me and sending code to me. But Deneb, is one of those ones that's near like Vega and, part of that whole big triangle. And it's the tail end of the Southern Cross, or the, the Swan um,
Right. I wrote
constellation.
Cygnus. When you said it, I wrote Cygnus.
Yeah, Cygnus. And so I found it, on my little star map thingy, and I was like, oh, Deneb, there you are. And I clicked it and I took a picture. And then he mentions that. I was like, this is just two days before I hear it. And just those synchronicities that are happening too with everybody that I connect to. It's just so cool. It's showing me where the connections are, basically, or who is resonating,
Yeah.
and where I should be looking. Kind of, it's sort of like pointing the finger, like, okay, pay attention over here or over here, and you're going to find something you need, that kind of thing. So I love it. It's great. It's easy. It's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna go somewhere with that, and it's gone. But as soon as you started talking about the stars, I could feel I was getting a different download energy coming in.
Mm-hmm. The Arcturus energy for me has been really strong all summer. Just it's like a blue sort of geometric kind of energy
Yeah.
for me. Like some kind of a almost like a tunnel forms or geometry whenever I look at the star, very closely. Oh, what happened? I should tell you about that. Yeah, I was staring at it one walk, different night, and there were clouds rolling past, and I was like, I'm always looking at things, in the sky, and um, a big cloud was coming, and it covers up Arcturus. So I was like, oh, okay. And so I keep walking. I was like, darn, clouds, right, covering it up. And then I see him again, and I go, oh, there you are. And here comes a cloud. I'm going, oh, don't cover. And literally, the cloud froze, like it just stopped. Everything stopped. I don't know if I told you this
You
before.
did, but you haven't. I don't think you've done it live, so keep going.
Oh, okay. And it just was like, oh, and I was like, whoa, what the, and it started doing this little, that's how come I knew that. I mean, I had the star as a reference point, so I knew something had stopped.
Wow.
And it was like, and it was a weird out of space, out of time, out of something kind of moment for me. It was really nothing like that's ever happened for me, where.
Yeah.
But I've heard Amanda Lawrence talk about it once. So maybe the seed was planted or something. I don't know. Because I think that's what we do. We help each other figure out. You hear it, and that's where the code drops in, and then you go, and then you realize you can do it too, because someone else can do it or something like that, right? So I just have so many seeds sprouting, I guess. From I listen to so many different people out there that I just love so much that I've been gathering for a long time, but now it's like I've got a forest growing, and don't know where anything comes from, but it doesn't matter. It's all good.
And I've heard of people dissolving clouds, but not stopping them. But I'm quite intrigued. I'm quite intrigued by that now. I'm like, will that happen to me? That would be good.
Well, I know I work with clouds all the time. I mean, they turn into all kinds of animals for me, and they change and sometimes follow me, and I'll exactly be on the walk, and they'll just change, and they look really clear to me, but I'll be taking pictures of it, and I'll get home and I'll look at the pictures and it won't look the same. It's like my vision is a little bit more, I don't know, attuned, I guess, to what I'm looking at. And sometimes they're really, even on photo, they're just super obvious. But sometimes I feel like they're coming just for me, and it's not meant to be photographed or shared or something like that. So, when I get home, it's like, it's not what I saw. All the little details just don't show up. It's like there's these little crystalline, sparkly lines or something. I don't know.
Colors I've been seeing a lot in clouds that are, like greens or pinks. I mean, obviously we see pink a lot in the sky, but I can just look at a cloud and think that cloud looks green. And I'm like, is that my eyes? Am I seeing energy there? Particularly greens and pinks that I'm seeing.
I've had that.
Yeah.
Green clouds. Like, wow, that's weird, but I think I've seen every color, at some point in the clouds, rainbow clouds, just different, purples lately that are really cool,
Like lilac or lilac?
Yeah, probably more like lilac than purpley purple, but there's just a tone to the whole thing, it seems like, uh, and, and that's usually an energy coming in for me. Like it's just, it's like energies for me are oftentimes color, just pure color. And I'll feel streaming coming through me, and I'll be seeing this specific vibrational color tone, and that goes with it. And that's sort of how, you combine the color with the feeling, and then you kind of get a sense of who you're talking to, or, because some energies are very elusive that way. They don't, other ones are obvious. You just sort of see them. You just know. So many, you just, I'm like, who am I talking to? And then you get nothing, or you just get like a color, or like a sense that it's like a lot of, like a collective. So there's not like this one singular identity. It's more like a bunch of energies combined. And I think that's what happened. What I got this morning was like some kind of collective, giving me all kinds of something or other. And I always just say, yes, come on down. And it's just a real exciting thing, because the energies are like changing, because I feel like it used to be, I would feel like things coming from my left or from my right, or, that kind of thing. Or, whatever specific locations. But this was just like beaming straight down, and it felt there's almost like a density to the energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's richer, like
thicker, for want of a
thicker. Yeah. Maybe a broader bandwidth is what I just heard, like like lots of frequencies combined. So that's why your cellular system or something picks up on a larger variety of frequency. So it feels denser. And that's what I was getting this morning. It's this very kind of a dense thing coming through. And you can't miss it, it's just, yeah, it felt very galactic.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm used to earth energies a lot. I work mostly with earth energies. So the galactic ones come in, yeah, I've had that for years, but not like as a consistent, like part of my team in a way. Like I go to my animals. That's sort of my go-to. Or elementals, like I had Sasquatch come in this year. That was sort of out of the blue too. But yeah.
Was that did you speak? Did you like
yeah. Yeah, I asked a few questions. And they were fundamental, because I didn't, because I've never done much study on Sasquatch or don't know a lot about it. That's why I was a bit surprised. And it basically just said to me that it was in a higher dimensional plane, and that it was super loving energy.
Yeah.
Super gentle. But it said to me basically that they never dip down in, frequency. I guess they've always been with the earth, but they just didn't go to the lower frequencies. So yeah, that they're very telepathic, and they're part of I think the earth underworld sort of community.
Inner earth.
Inner earth, yeah. See, I just sort of make this stuff as I go. I don't make it up, but this is what I hear, But I don't have, I don't always I don't have any degrees in anything, except for art. Actually, I do. But on the spiritual, it's like I haven't taken Reiki classes. I haven't, done all that kind of study that some people do. Like you're an expert. You're a master. I just sort of feel everything out as I go, and just piece it together in my own language and in my own way. And And for me, that's that way I know I'm solid, you know, because sometimes I search for words and stuff because I don't have words, and that helps when other people, you know, that's where I get some words from. But the Sasquatch visited me a few times, and there was this one time which was really different, and it's like I birthed a Sasquatch.
Oh,
Yeah, that was really. It's even hard for me to talk about it because it sounds so odd. But it's like I birthed a Sasquatch, and but there was a female Sasquatch there with me. What's so weird is she birthed like a human baby,
hmm.
and then I was holding a Sasquatch baby, and she was holding a human baby, and then we traded. So it's as if we ran each other's energy through, you know, symbolically each other, and then we so that we gave each other some kind of new code. That's how I interpret the symbolism there.
Yeah, that's what just dropped in for me. Like there was an exchange of codes in that,
Right.
like an energetic birthing more than a
Yeah.
physical, but through the exchange.
Yes.
And maybe it was kind of like confirmation of the exchange of codes. It's like to show you that that exchange happened, that you birthed the
Yeah.
Sasquatch. It was like a visual kind of confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone else shared about birthing Sasquatch, and I can't quite get her name. She,
Julie, maybe. Julie Roberts. Julie. What's her middle name?
yeah, she's got three names, hasn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I just remember the Julie Roberts. She's great. She has a lot of wonderful information. I follow a lot of her stuff. Um, she has some stuff that I have no clue about. I mean, it's just like, oh boy. But I know that Vivian sometimes crosses over, you know, and she'll know about something I have no clue about, you know, and she'll know what Julie's talking about, and I won't. I'll be like, what's that about, you know, or you know, whoever. It's so interesting that our visual languages, you know, are each so unique in the way we say it or the way we see it. And I know that I interpret everything almost like a dream language, you know, just pure symbol. Um, so I know that everything is just a symbolic language that I'm experiencing, and that's why I feel like we're in a dream. You know, it's like I studied dreams so much in my youth that it because in Japan, you know, my mom would say they would, you know, come together in the morning and talk about certain things, and oftentimes it was about dreams. So that was somewhat of a thing in our family. We would just go, "What'd you dream about, or did you have any dreams, or who had any good dreams?" Right? And so it was another one of those normal things in the family, and I just feel so lucky in a way that I have that kind of family that um, that was normal. You know, I mean, I'm in a family that where my dad's an atheist. Okay, so saying even the word God is like a curse word, right?
yeah.
But we could talk about all this other stuff like dreams or animal totems or you know earth spirits or fairies or all of that was fine, you know. So we just ended up going in that direction, which is you know, and dragons and Garuda and think you know these gods and elementals or whoever. We had statues around the house. My dad used to you know travel when we lived in Japan, he was stationed to go do different things, and then he'd go buy up a bunch of stuff in Thailand or Taiwan or wherever he went, and he'd have them shipped home. And you know, there are these beautifully carved, you know, Garuda with his wings, you know, and his hawk and looking vicious face or whatever. And my dad had a mask collection, so we had just these every kind of beastie looking, mask character like stuff on the walls around. So I grew up with demons rather than angels. So it's sort of odd. I know that's why I think I carry some of that dark energy, what people might call dark, the scarier looking stuff. But in Asia, it's different. The scary stuff is power and they know it. It's not, they don't see it as bad, right? You show that mask to a person in America and they're like, demonic, satanic or whatever. And so I guess my gods, or if I, had any, were animal or scary looking, you know. But that's, I think the spiritual community tends to separate itself in that way, that there's good elementals and bad elementals and good, gods and bad gods or whatever, demons. And that demons aren't divine somehow, that or that should be, dealt with caution, or all power is power, whether it looks white or dark, because I was just saying to you earlier that like angels can be misused as well. I mean, look at our Christian, or I shouldn't pinpoint one religion, but how priests or whatever have used the robes to use that power, to influence or to take advantage of, and so this is supposedly white energy rather than dark energy, right? Angels are supposed to be good, but they can be abused. That power can be abused, just like a dark energy can be abused as well. It's all power. It's all coming from the same place, the same source, right? So it's all in the intention of the user and how it's used.
Yeah.
And so integrating dark, demonic looking or like energies is really a form to me of fierceness, like an animal power, like a lion or a tiger has this animal power. And we don't see that as bad, do we? No. So it's really like that to me. I don't make a distinguishing, between this angels or
demons
thing,
Yeah, so that's really interesting. And it's like, because we've been talking about this privately, connecting in with our power. Mm-hmm. And I'd rather say, I'm finding myself not wanting to use the word warrior these days because of the war that it hit. The war in holds the word war in there. So to me, it suggests fighting, which suggests separation. It's an us and them thing.
Right.
I do like the word peace here as an alternative. But where I'm going with that is the energy of power. So we've talked about us coming into our, and is it our masculine side? It might be. We might associate it with our masculine side, but I think it's more our power. It's more we're connecting with universal power to bring in that power energy, to increase our inner power. So the haka in New Zealand, which feels very dragon energy to me as well, it's bringing in that power. Just to increase our personal power.
But they're fierce too, and that to me suggests that earthly power as well. That primal.
Yeah.
It's that blending that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
And so they're fierce looking in their face. They,
yeah.
They do that. But, they really want, to that it's that intimidation factor. You could scare someone away, right, with just a look, right? Even women know that very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the subtlety of that. It's like just that, and and so yeah, I think that all of it is beautiful. If it is intended, with a positive, filtered through the heart.
Yeah.
You're going to get a good outcome. If it doesn't, because you can filter it through here, and then yeah, you're in trouble.
And energy comes out of our eyes. Like there was where I worked at the Backpackers. There was quite a lot of party energy there.
Mm.
And there was one guy who was on acid one night, and he looked at me and he went, "Oh, whoa!" And I'm like, "What?
What?
There's gold coming out of your eyes." And I'm like, "Yeah." To me, that was quite normal. And I remember it was something that we talked about with my Reiki master. She's like, "You can beam energy out with your eyes." And that's why the reason I came onto this is what you said before about the looks. I think sometimes we have to be mindful of that as well, that if we're angry and we look at someone through those angry eyes, that you're sending out energy with that as well.
Yes. Arrows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people feel it. I really believe. Yeah, we know it.
You know when someone's looking at you.
Yeah, you
I was
do.
in a bar in Byron, and I could feel that my phone was being looked at, and there was a mirror behind the bar, and I looked, and this man was just like,
Very
like, "I've seen you. There's a
Yep,
mirror."
I see you.
Not just that, but I could feel it. Like you can really feel when someone is looking at you, and you can do that as well, like sending a telepathic message as well to get someone's attention.
Yes.
I remember a friend and I, we were in a bar in Byron. It's a big bar. It's the Beach Hotel that used to be owned by Paul Hogan a long time ago, just as a by the
wow.
by. So we were in one room and he just walked in and we were a long way from him. But he was a friend and he hadn't come in to see us, but we wanted to get his attention. So we just looked at each other and said, "Telepathic message?" Yeah. And we just sent him this telepathic message without even thinking about it. And then he turned straight round to us and looked straight at us. And then we kind of went, "Whoa," because we didn't even think it wasn't, even though we said it, it kind of wasn't intentional in a way. It was just telepathic message, yes, do it. And then when we'd done it successfully, that's when we really thought about it and were like, "Whoa." So when he came over, we said, "So what made you look over to see us?" And he said, "I don't know." He said, "I just had to turn my head round."
That's so great. I love that, because I think I've had that power for a long time, but I think for years I was very cautious about the way I used my energy that way, because of some early experiences with the metaphysics, knowing that it can be easily be manipulated because I saw it in action.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to force anybody to feel bad, with, uh, I talked about it on Todd's with the faces thing. I started to be able to see it in others, when I got back, when they were using, they're out there, people out there that are magical, that use magic, to get what they want and to manipulate. And I think a lot of men that, well, not, I shouldn't say that a lot, but I immediately bumped into a man who was a taxi driver actually, and we had a great conversation and all. But later, we went out and did some stuff, and ended up at his room, and we were going to just talk, and we did. But then he started doing this thing from across the room, and I saw the face, and it looked almost demonic, and it was meant to intimidate. And I think that's how it can be used, and I laughed because I saw it. It made me just laugh. And he goes, why are you laughing? You know, it immediately he just, woo, why are you laughing at me? And I was like, and I don't know where this came from. It just popped out of my mouth. I said, I think I see something of myself. I said that, which was a very witty thing to say. And I don't know where that came from, because there's a part of me that was scared. And it was like, how did I come up with something so clever to say and to just laugh it off like that? I don't know. But he immediately, I think at that moment, I showed myself to him and he could see it. And what he saw was a little girl. So I showed what, I mean, I've been told that a lot, actually, that when people see me, when I reveal myself, I'm a little girl. And he was like, oh, she's beautiful, or something like that. I mean, and he wanted just to come hug me. And I let him. But after that, you know, after I knew what his intentions were, you know, he wanted to do the faces thing with the candle. He lit the candle, and it was like, it's like journeying in a way, right? You know, you journey into other through galaxies or something. I don't know. You go through portals. But yeah, I couldn't do it with him. I just didn't trust him, you know, after that. So, so yeah, that's why I learned there that I want to be really careful, you know, and in a way I stopped myself from seeing certain things so that yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just turned it off for a long time. And I haven't really done that since, like, peered in that way, or gazing, I think is what the Native Americans call it. Because I think it's almost like you're invading space a little bit, or you know, if it's not done with both persons' permission, I guess, or something. So,
and I think you're right, that people can hook, almost like lasso you as well, like send an energetic lasso to kind of like pull you in a little bit.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're really right. And I think a lot of us who are doing this work now and working with energy have worked with it before, but we will have abused that power as well.
Yeah. Yes.
There's no doubt that I have in other lifetimes,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even in this one as well, without knowing it. You know, as a child, even that you learn to manipulate a little bit with energy.
Yeah.
Probably learned that quite early on. I find it really hard to keep my train of thought in this in this conversation. I was going somewhere with that, and I'm like, whoa, the energy is really strong. Like
the energies are really strong. Yeah. I'm feeling it since you turned on the cat. I mean, before that, actually, it just started coming in, and you know, I get a little bit tongue tied too. I feel like in these energies, and but yeah, I agree that the lasso thing, the manipulation thing, yeah, that's, we all do it, you know, unwittingly, because this is the way this reality is set up. We need to do it in a way to survive. That's what we feel anyway, and I think it's true. I became a person, I know, that just was really, I was mean to people, you know, just to keep them away. When I felt like threatened, I would just say something mean, you know. That's a form of self-defense and manipulation in a way, but it was a self-sabotage. I mean, you could call it so many different things, really, but all of it's around feeling safe, and uh, you know, using whatever tools you have as a defense, you know, if you feel, you know, invaded or attacked, which this world is full of invaders. So, you know, we've been forced to use whatever tools necessary in order to feel safe, I guess. You know.
And this energy exchange is going on all the time as well. So if we're thinking really mean thoughts about somebody, we're sending that resonance to them.
Mm-hmm.
And those that are sensitive to that can sometimes feel it as well. Like you can feel something in your field, and I get this much less now. And I think the more you are in your heart space, the less it sticks in your aura as well. But there were times in Byron, and I'd feel energy in my body, and energy attachments, like darker or denser, let's say denser energy attachments, that feel kind of prickly and they feel uncomfortable. And sometimes you have a feeling of who it might have come from as well. Like, I'm just feeling into whether I can share this story, because it's about another person.
That's always a hard one.
Yeah, I'm feeling that it's okay. I'm obviously not going to mention any names in it. I had a bit of an interaction with someone in Byron, and there was anger on both sides, and I rarely express my anger to somebody, but on this occasion it slipped out, very much slipped out. And for the days afterwards, I could feel this energy in my neck. And it felt two pronged as well. And when I pulled it out, I felt it was linked to this person. And I didn't think much more about it. I kind of, took the energy out, cleansed, returned to sender, whatever. And I didn't think much more about it until I was in a particular place and I felt it again. And I was like, oh, like I really felt it, like in my neck again. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then I got out of my car. I was just parking up when it happened, and the first person I saw was that same person again. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. That was kind of confirmation to me, that it was from that person the first time. Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, that's the pain in the neck thing. I mean, literally, we say that, oh, pain in the neck, right? That person or whatever, and you literally, I know when usually something bigger is coming to be shed when I get that pain in the neck, and it's really interesting too for me. On the right side, it tends to be more of a patriarchal issue, a control issue, because I'm handed, and plus that's the masculine side of the body, I guess, logical brain. And then sometimes I'll get on the left side here, and that's more to do with that intuitive, creative blockages of some sort or another. So yeah, pain in the neck, it's a good one. Good indicator.
Yeah, the words we use, it's always so interesting, isn't it? How spot on.
Yes.
I'm getting it. I've noticed I've been scratching my head a lot in this. There's something going on there, and I'm not feeling a bite there or anything. I wonder if that's just something being activated in that area.
Well, my head's been busy this week with activations of all kinds. A lot too, right? Like a strap back here.
Yeah,
that's say occipital, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, the occipital ridge is, that ridge there.
Back here. Yeah. And that's been very busy on both sides, but like there'll be times when you're just feeling like one side, it's interesting, and then other times you'll just feel, but then today it was like, and I've gotten a 12-12 there on my watch, noticed as I'm saying that. So something's, like a balancing, and those are both threes, and that's a 33. So interesting.
So sacred geometry is a bit of a passion of yours as well, is it?
Numerology, well, sacred geometry, I always was better at geometry at school, I couldn't do math, but geometry was easy for me. I was like, oh, I get this, with all the angles and shapes and dimensions and all that. I can see that dimensional stuff. But yeah, so for me, chemistry, organic chemistry was that sacred geometry to me.
Yeah.
Because it really is a sacred, because everything's built, through these molecules and structures. And whether we know it or not, visually we're seeing a sacred geometry, but it popped out into 3 dimensions, where it looks totally different. You're not noticing the spiral possibly that's going through the whole molecule, you're just seeing it in these like very fundamental building blocks, and it doesn't look all that exciting or beautiful really. But I think if organic chemistry was taught through that lens, I think we'd have, a lot more fun in school, honestly. That if when we are able to combine, these energies of dimensionality and just the golden mean, in all of science, if they just pop that in there. I mean, simple things, right? Frequency, if they pop that in there to most of science, it would change everything, and make it a lot more enjoyable as well as easy to understand. They want to teach in these terminologies that are just so technical, that we can't even understand it unless you read the book, right? And it's like, no, you don't need a book. Everything's right in your world all the time. You just have to notice it, and that's something that, I'm always just, noticing anomalies or things that just don't seem to fit with the rest of things, or patterns, always looking at patterns and trying to understand big concepts and bring it down to my personal level. That way it's super easy to get. You go, oh, torus field, like the toilet, I mean, just those kind of connections, and the torque. No, it moves like this, not like this, because in geometry you're going to see this, and that's it. But you're not going to see that vibratory snake-like sensuous flow that's happening, right? And that's what makes it dynamic and ever changing and unknowable and beautiful, right? And that's the art, and so when science can, squish some of that art back into, its teachings, I think kids are going to have a lot more fun learning where everyone is, and everyone will understand it too, because they go, oh yeah, I know what that looks like, right? The toilet, it's so simple, really.
I didn't really get it when I was taught geometry at school. I didn't really get that those were the building blocks of everything of life. That those 5, the 5 platonic solids, everything is like they're the most basic structures of everything. Crystals. I've got some fluorite octahedrons.
Exactly.
Here,
So
that occurs naturally.
Yes, it's foundational.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I love those fluorides. But I totally agree. Yeah, that I didn't get that either in school. That's why I'm talking about it, because I wish if I was taught it that way, this whole world, of science would look different.
Yeah.
It's nothing's in straight lines. And when we connect everything in these straight lines, and I guess there are straight lines in that geometry.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, but
there's actually, I think, curvature to it that we're not seeing.
yes.
That's what's my point. But yeah.
And that's what I really like about I always forget his first name. Is it William Rankin? Somebody Rankin.
Yes.
Yeah, his work and how he's been, yes, Eric, that he's been drawing curved lines instead of straight lines. That puts a whole different, when you see his models.
Right.
And sacred geometry for me has been really, I loved reading the Flower of Life book. Drumbelow Melchizedek's Flower of Life. It was just like, whoa. I was really hungry for the knowledge in there. I couldn't repeat it. You know, if you told me what was in that, if you'd asked me what was in that book, I wouldn't have been able to tell you by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I've reread it as well, it's like, was that in there last time? I don't remember that bit. But all of it, I just soaked up like a sponge. Like it really gratified some part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I love sacred geometry. I love the shapes, and it's been really interesting with this drawing program that I've got. Starting to draw geometries, which for me the first time I did that was with a crystal grid, because I've always known when I've put crystals in a grid, I can kind of see the geometries. I can see the lines that form between them, and how some of them are, you know, at different heights on there, and some of them you've seen the lines that are behind in a 3-dimensional, but it's like a 2-dimensional flat.
Right. Well, your grids are looking more dimensional, and I love that about your geometry, because you have these subtle shifts that like emphasize that curvature that I was talking about, that you're not seeing in traditional sacred geometry imagery most of the time. And that's exciting to me to see that with you, because I get a hit off of it every time I see your stuff, you know, and it pops into dimension too right away as well. So that's super cool, I think, what you're doing. I want to get a new little tablet so that I could
Yeah, I highly recommend
play
it.
more.
It's fascinating, and it's hours of fun to me. So I've been playing with spheres as well, or well, they're obviously just circles on the page.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to draw the flower of life, and it's not been coming through as a flower of life. It's been coming through as different shapes. Like they're more octahedron, I think, because there's like eight
Mm-hmm.
circles in them. But yesterday there was like 3 on top, 3 underneath, and 1 on each side, because I was trying to draw the 3, get the 3 circles together, which I did, but then I mirrored it and had it underneath as well, which then became, you know, a different geometry. And I noticed there was like a rectangle. I joined certain dots together,
Mm-hmm.
thinking it would create a hexagon, which it did. It was 6 sides, but they weren't all the same. They weren't all the same length. And I was like, oh, I've done it wrong. But my guidance was, no, this is what we're asking you to draw. And in the middle, it looked like a rectangle as well. But yeah, that was the guidance. It was like, no, this is what we're actually asking you to draw. It's not necessarily the traditional sacred geometry, but I feel that new geometries are coming in as well.
Yeah, that sounds right to me, because I look at yours and know there's something new about it. And after looking at some of your stuff, I know that I'll get downloads about I don't know, just about structures. You know, the way stuff is actually constructed or something like that.
Yeah, interesting.
I can't put words on it, you
Mm.
know, because in my head it's doing this thing and showing me, and there really aren't words sometimes.
Yeah.
It gets all jumbled in there, and then within an hour I've forgotten it, the whole thing. So
Yeah, same.
we'll see if some of it sticks here. That's going to be the fun part, when it starts to actually stick.
But then I guess often you can tap into it if you're meant to. It's there somewhere in the ether, so you can like tap into that energy. Like I can't always remember in treatments what I've done, but once I start sharing with someone the findings, it's like I'm back there, so I can like pull in that information.
Maybe that's it, that we don't need to hold on to anything, and that it'll just drop in when we need it. And you know, that's the new way, that we don't have to be this little computer storage memory bank, you know, with knowledge, and we don't need to actually know anything, you know, in that sense. And we'll just tap into our little bank and go, oh, there it is, you know.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah.
I feel that, and I feel that's why, you know, a lot of people are saying that their memory's not working like it was. I feel that it's more about a knowing in some way than I haven't quite got it.
Yeah, like a knowing. You're right. It's
Yeah,
like a
knowing them and holding the
knowledge. Yeah, yeah,
information. Yeah.
yeah. Because knowledge is like stagnant and sterile in a way because most of it comes from somebody else, out of a book or so, a learning rather than a knowing from experiential evidence. And now we're moving fully into experience. So those people out there who've learned everything they know through books, and our critics or whoever, they just know from the fancy words they know. They're not going to hold any weight anymore because all that's collapsing. That supposed knowledge of the old is this is what I've been getting is that yeah, I don't need to know anything, and you're going to be fine, which is great. I'm like, I don't need to know anything. And I'm really getting a deeper meaning on the Fool card in the tarot deck, that fancy free light baggage, sunshine on the face. It's like he's the fool. He doesn't need to know anything, and so that's really cool.
Open to all possibilities.
Yes, yes. Open to all that sunshine data coming in or whatever, right? Awesome. But he always has the little dog, to help him. So Toto.
Again, there's so much we haven't touched on.
Well, this gives us something to talk about the next time, maybe.
And listen to you, Eve. That's awesome. Yep. I think you got over your fear.
I think I have, because you helped me a lot. And then that show with Todd, it's like I was done with being afraid, I guess. I just said, I'm done with this. I'm just done. Because I had been delayed twice. Yeah. And so, I got this fear and then boom, and then I got this fear and then boom. And I was like, this is ridiculous, it really did a number on my head a little bit just to let me know that I don't have to know anything. And that's what it was really showing me, because I was like, what am I going to talk about? And oh my God, should I talk about this or this? Or, and it's like, oh, should I make some notes or something, right? It's like, no. You don't need anything. You don't need anything. Just yourself, just show up. And it really taught me that, because I had to go through that cycle a couple times and realize, no, you can't predict, the future. You don't know. And that's that control piece that had to go, and once it did, I feel free. I feel like I could talk about anything.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that in your energy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's interesting that your chat with Todd got cancelled twice, because he rarely cancels shows.
Exactly.
Yours got cancelled twice. Like there's something deeper.
There is. I know I got some information about that, but I'm not going to talk about it, because just to respect, our relationship, I guess, if there is, the etheric one. No, I'm not talking about, just that the past life thing, I think, is how I would put it. It's like a past life connection.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we played out different roles in previous life before. Is how I got it. And we need to work out a little karma energy there, So.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And also, as you said before, about your fears as well, like conquering your fears too.
Yeah, it was there for that. It really helped me with that.
Yeah.
It's gone now. I don't feel that at all here. Well, especially with you. You make it. You're just so easy to.
Thank you.
Your little giggle, and you're so cute.
It's always very easy to chat to you.
Well, I'm glad we have that. That's really fun.
So thank you. Thank you for guesting again on Love Speaks Love. What to say? So, and thank you everyone who's watched as well. if you feel to share it, it's always helpful. There is a love, excuse me, there is a Love Speaks Love Facebook page as well. If you enjoy these, all the shows are on there. They're also on my YouTube channel, which is Inner Peace with Denise. It would be awesome if you subscribed and even watch a few. We were talking about this the other day. It's interesting how
talking to your three people who view it or whatever. That was so hilarious. I just broke out because I think I have 3 subscribers on my channel. I mean, not that I advertise, I never put it out there. But I think it's just so literally funny because I literally have 3 subscribers.
Because my videos used to get a fair amount of watches and they're not doing now, and it's really interesting. And it's more actually since I started writing keywords in, and that's supposed to help you, into the algorithms. But yeah, and I did question because it takes quite a long time to download things onto YouTube.
Yeah.
And also to write up because I want to put the keywords in there so that it comes up on the algorithms. So it does take quite a bit of time. And I did question the other day because there was one video that no one had watched, and then when I checked the other day, there was only 3 views, and I was like, that's really interesting. But I asked my guidance, shall I continue doing this and putting them on YouTube? And I got a clear yes.
What I loved, I'm going to mention this because I loved it, was that video you did with that gigantic rock. Ooh, that monolithic tower rock. It was amazing. I got definitely some downloads off of that video. Yeah. That was awesome.
And that happened to be 11 minutes and 22 seconds because I did a Facebook Live for
that too.
And when I rewatched it before I put it on YouTube, I was gonna, because such amateur photography in there, I'm going up to the camera and going back to the stone, and like you can only see the top of my head, and it's like
it was so funny. You just do the camera and you were like, no, and you would disappear. It was so cute. But the view at the end, that was precious too. Watch it to the end, everybody, if you go and watch that one, because you give a sense of where you're at, and that English countryside. I mean, and then the graveyard and that building, that church is just stunning.
Yeah, it's an old church, and obviously that was a pagan site as well as the church all around here.
And they built the church next to that rock.
Yeah,
because of the power. So yeah,
and there's 5 ley lines that meet there as well, and it's just for perspective. It's 26, as I mentioned several times in the video. It's 26 feet high, but it's 26 feet down in the ground as well. So it's huge. When you see me next to it, like I'm this big, and the rock looks like that big.
Incredible. And I literally felt myself connecting to you and connecting to the rock, and then grounding it down here. It's like it really wanted me to just bring it down because I felt it go poof all the way through me. So,
and I feel that we are creating different energy lines when we do that as well. This is all part of this creating the new grid. Mm-hmm. And they may not be the big chunky, St. Michael ley lines, but we are.
That's that structure we were talking about earlier. It's this refinement. It's not about so much we've gotten the foundational stuff done, and now we're filling in some finer attunements, I guess, or whatever. And that's why the subtlety of the moving energies right now is so like innocent and beautiful and fun because it's lighter. It's not so serious, and playful.
And there wasn't many people. There was no one there when I started that live. And while I was doing light language, there was people that were walking past.
Of course, they always that's the vibration. That's the energy. They want to be a part of it too. Unwittingly, unknowingly.
Alrighty, I'm gonna stop the live. Thank you. See you soon.